Welcome back to the second section of Excited Selling. And what are we going to talk about today? We're going to talk about greeting, which is what I just did to you. Welcome back. So when a customer walks into your facility, into your store, into your location, the first thing you do is within 10 seconds of them walking in the door, you greet them. Now, greeting them doesn't mean that you immediately start trying to put a product in their hand or in their pocket. You don't start trying to sell them something immediately. You greet them. You make them welcome to your store. It's kind of like whenever a friend comes over to your house, what do? You greet them. And you do the same thing in the store. In a friendly manner, you make them feel welcome in your store. You just say, hello, welcome to ABC. People appreciate being recognized and noticed, and it's a good thing for security as well, because somebody that's up to no good doesn't want you to recognize or notice them. The next reason we do it, and we do it within 10 seconds, is because research has shown that 10 seconds is a threshold for people to feel comfortable with walking into your store and being recognized. After 10 seconds, people start to feel ignored. And I know that doesn't sound reasonable, but it is true. And if you think about it, next time you walk into a store, count how long it takes for somebody to greet you, if they greet you at all, because customer service in our country is horrible right now. So if you walk into a place that gives good customer service, recognize them for that. Tell them thank you for that good customer service. But we greet within 10 seconds because it's also a security thing. And after you've greeted them, what do you do next? You hang out with the customer. You just start talking to them about stuff that's non-business related, because our goal here is to break down resistance for the customer, because customers don't like salespeople. We've all had a bad experience with a salesperson at some point in our life, and so we're resistant to it. That's the reason that everybody throws up the "I'm just looking" whenever somebody approaches them. Don't ask them what you can help them with. Just start talking to them. Compliment them on what they're wearing. Talk about the unusual weather outside if it's unusual. If the weather is normal, ignore the weather. Don't talk about it, because people can see right through that. If they have children with them, talk to their children. Talk about their children. Ask them questions. If they're wearing a T-shirt that has a sports team on it, or a concert on it, or something that's out of the ordinary or that's specific, they obviously have an interest in that. Ask them about that. But the purpose is to start to break down resistance, to start to break the ice with your customer and make them feel comfortable. Because our number one goal with them is to get them to forget you're a salesperson and start thinking of you as a person and eventually as a friend. So after you have hung out with them for a while and broken the ice and talked about things, and you felt like you've started to build a little rapport with your customer, you can tell by their body language and by the way they're talking whether or not you have broken down that resistance. You move into the transition. And I like one specific question as my transition. It works better than anything else I've ever tried, and that is, what brings you in today? What brings you into the store today? What brings you into ABC today? What brings you in today? It's an open-ended question. Can't be answered with a yes or no. And it's less likely to get the pushback of "I'm just looking." And if you've done the first step of breaking the ice and hanging out with your customer and building some rapport, the question of what brings you in today will work almost every time. Now, let's say that you do all of that and you've done it right and you still get "I'm just looking." Well, what do? Okay, so there's a few options here. Why did they tell you that they were just looking? One is, maybe they are just looking. Maybe they're browsing, maybe their spouse or someone that they're with is in a different store and they're just really killing time. In that instance, all you're going to be able to do is give them a good experience in the store, show them around. Who knows, maybe they'll light on something that actually interests them and they may make a purchase. What's the second thing? You haven't broken down resistance enough. And so at that point, you just back off a little bit and you just start the conversation again and start talking to them to build more rapport with the customer. You don't walk away and you don't leave them abandoned on the sales floor. If they really act resistant to you being there, then you back off a little bit, never leave completely, or go get another salesperson to take over for you, because maybe they don't like you. And I know that sounds harsh, but sometimes people just don't like, sometimes people don't like guys with a beard. Consciously, they aren't aware that it's the beard they dislike, but they don't like you because you've got a beard. There may be some people don't like men, some people don't like women, and you can swap up with a different person that may have more success with them. The last thing is you can do the takeaway, which is you ask the customer, so let's say they said, "I'm just looking." You say, "Oh, you picked a great place to do that. What are you just looking for?" It's called the takeaway. You're taking their words away from them because you're using their exact same words that they used on you, and it's very uncomfortable to say the same words over again. So, "I'm just looking." "Oh, well, great, you picked a great place to do that. What are you just looking for?" "I'm just looking." That's very unusual for them to do. It's very uncomfortable to say it again. In the event they do, maybe they are just looking. Maybe they just don't like you and it's time to transition to another salesperson. But most of the time when you say, well, what are you just looking for? They'll open up and tell you. But you have to use their exact words in the same in the sentence back to them. So, I'm just looking. What are you just looking for? I'm just browsing. What are you just browsing for? You have to use their exact words, because if they say, I'm just looking, okay, well, what are you looking for? That's not good enough, because they can say, I'm just looking again. Well, I'm just browsing. Oh, great. What are you browsing for? No, it's got to be just looking, just browsing. It's got to be their exact words. There is a psychology to it that does work. Now, if they hit you back with the I'm just looking, maybe they were just looking. It's time now to give them a great experience in your store. Make them glad they came in and not regret that there was a pushy salesperson that wouldn't take no for an answer, okay? You're not going to take no for an answer in most cases, but you're going to be friendly about it. You're going to slow down with the customer. You're going to take your time. You're going to build the relationship. If they walk out the store empty-handed but felt great about your store, you're ahead of the game. And if you break down that resistance and you sell them something that they absolutely love, you're even farther ahead of the game. You're a sales professional.